So this is not the last time I'm sure we'll see this. Someone jumping ship before it sinks. Um, so BioWare and Peril, longtime writer, leaves following Dragon Age the Veilguard flop. So it's always a shame, especially if it's a longtime writer, someone who's been there for like a decade or two, um, to the point where they feel like, okay, well, it's either leave now, because it feels like, I mean, unless you're lead writer, then whoever kind of like supervises everything and kind of makes who can make the changes. So unless you're that person, you could be a writer going in there and writing the best damn thing possible, and then it gets to that head writer and it's like, well, I saw that you made this character like this, so we're going to keep the character, but we're going to make them black. But it's like, but I didn't write them to be black. Well, I'm writing them to be black. So I think there's only so much of the craziness that people can take. So when you have like no input on any of it, because it's like if you have your input, it's like, well, you can voice your opinion, but might get fired. Uh, because we don't tolerate wrong think here. So you're welcome to have your opinion. You just might not have a job afterwards. So better to just jump ship now than, you know. And yet another blow to the once magnificent, now struggling ship. That's what I said. If you go down with the ship, ship called BioWare. Sylvia, not even going to bother. A senior writer with the company for 15 years, has announced her departure. This comes on the heels of a disastrous launch of Dragon Age the Veilguard, currently rumored to be selling under 1.5 million copies out of the expected 10 million plus sales estimations. The news broke via Blue Sky, where, not even gonna bother, shared her decision. Hey everyone, sorry I've been quiet on here. Was busy with a big decision, namely deciding to leave BioWare. I'll really, really miss working with everyone there, but after 15 years, it just feels like a good time for a break. If and when I've got something noteworthy lined up, I'll mention it here. She later added, I'll go back to answering your questions, comments. Thank you for them before shutting down the account. It'll still just be it'll still just be slow because I've left BioWare. There's likely a few things I can't answer now just because I can't look them up with certainty anymore. But a lot of questions I saw are fine. The fact that, not even going to name bother, is leaving without a plan or future prospect is extremely telling. Yeah, I mean, I hope another company will see this and be like, hey, we got a place for you. And you won't be just a senior, you'll be head writer, because quite frankly, these kids need a good slap in the ass sometimes, and they need to be shown how it's done. So you will be the head writer. Now go out there and make me some money. um so I hope that she gets a job soon enough. But yeah, if when you leave a career that you've been doing for that long, so sudden with nothing really lined up, no, that's I'm like, what does that say about BioWare? The fact that she'd rather jump ship with like basically no life preserver than to just stay there and continue going down with the ship. So, that's really sad that it's had to come to that. How to come to this after all we've been through, two of a pair now on opposite sides. No matter what. Um, She began her career at BioWare with Mass Effect 2 in 2010 and contributed to several high-profile titles, including Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Anthem, before returning to the Dragon Age series for the Veilguard. Her decision to leave the company comes amid increasing speculation that the game's underperformance could spell further trouble for BioWare, as multiple insiders have communicated to me that heavy layoffs at the studio are incoming. Dragon Age the Veilguard, a flop by the numbers. Because again, I've said this before, numbers don't lie. You can sit there and say that you enjoyed the game. Great, I'm glad you liked it. But you enjoying the game doesn't make it a success. 89,000 players. That's worldwide. That's not in a state. That's not in a country. That is worldwide. And the game only managed to get 89,000 at its peak. This is December 21st, which is, it's the 22nd now. 89,000 and only 10,000 people playing. So please, tell me how this game was a success. No one really played it. 30,000 plus refunds within the first couple days of it being released. It took 400 million to make, plus another 300 million for marketing. So that's about $700 million they need to make back. They've only made about 100 million back so far. So tell me, the numbers. Does that game sound like a success to you? People really need to stop looking at it like big numbers of, oh, well, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. If you're not a company, $100 million is a lot of money. But they took 400 million to make the game, plus another 300 million for marketing. So does that measly $100 million sound like a success now after 2 months? No, it doesn't. So if you enjoyed the game, great. We're happy you enjoyed it. But not enough people enjoyed it because it's not making what it should have. So they're not even close to breaking even, which is still bad. You don't want to break even. You want to make money. But the Veilguard has been widely criticized for failing to meet both player and industry expectations, despite glowing reviews from a heavily curated group of professional reviewers. Yeah, Kotaku, IGN, Polygon, all those, the typical ones that are basically paid to, oh my god, that meme, like, of the guy, like, oh, consumer, like, new product. Yeah, that they're paid to write these reviews. The game only saw a concurrent player count of just 89,000, which has since plummeted to a meager 11,000 in the last 24 hours. That's nearly a 90% drop in under 2 months. Despite the alarming decline, game director Kareem Bush sidestepped questions about the game's sales performance. When asked by Eurogamer about the commercial response, Bush stated, "Unfortunately, on the side sales, that's not something we can really discuss. But of course, as we know with Inquisition, that was a long burn to get those total sales numbers." An insider revealed the internal expectations for the Veilguard were ambitious, to say the least, with a rumored target of 10 million copies sold within 3 months by parent company EA. It's been 2 months and they haven't even gotten 2 million yet. So again, does that sound like a success? However, the game has only managed to sell under 1.5 million copies so far, and now expected to cross 3 million lifetime, falling drastically short of any initial projection. Okay, let's hang on. So 3 million. 3 million times $70 for the base game. Even then, 3 million. Again, 350 million to 400 million just to make the game, plus another 300 million for marketing. So does this number look like it was a success to you? I get so tired of people saying, oh, it was a good game. Great. Does the number you just saw me do in front of you, do the numbers lie? No. The game was not successful. So you can like it all you want. Good for you. but does not make the game a success. They are not even close to making back what they took to make it. And that, again, 400 million just to make the game. They're still 200 million off. And then they would have to make an additional 300 million, like 300 million just for the marketing. Again, like $700 million total. So $700 million. Does that look like a success? Again, it's a big PP number. Big numbers if you're not a company that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make a game. That money alone, if that money would last you a lifetime. That's a lot of money right there. But in the aspect of a business, that's not a success at all. People really need to understand and look at it through a business lens rather just, well, you're just a fat fucking incel. I don't know what you're talking about. I love the game. The game was great. Well, good for you. Numbers don't lie. The exact number remains undisclosed to protect the identity's anonymity, but it's clear that the title's failure has sparked quite a bit of finger pointing within the company. Layoffs looming? Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I mean, there's really no point in reading that part. It's gonna happen. What went wrong? Everything. BioWare struggles with the Veilguard are emblematic of broader issues plaguing the company, from misaligned leadership to a gigantic disconnect from their previously established core audience. The studio has repeatedly stumbled. Many fans of the series and big-time YouTube personalities like Endymion and Hypnotic have criticized the prioritization of identity politics over engaging storytelling and meaningful gameplay. I've personally even pointed to lead developer Kareem Bush's comments about being trans as a primary example of misplaced focus. Being trans shaped everything about who I am. Yeah, that's obvious, because when it comes to people like you, not every trans person does this. I know there are a lot of trans people who watch me, and you all have real personalities. But the people like them, like Kareem Bush here, being trans is their personality. So when it comes to writing characters, they write terrible characters. Tosh, prime example. Clearly a self-insert. Clearly a self-insert. And she's the worst written character in the game. Because they made her being non-binary as her entire personality. If she had a great personality and she was going through this crisis of with her identity, it would have been better. But no, her being non-binary is her personality. That's why these people cannot fucking write characters, because they're always self-inserts. The fact that they take a quality like being trans or black or whatever and making that a personality trait, rather than giving that character real personality. No, it's, oh, they're black, so that's their personality. No real thought process, just they're black. They're black, and if you don't like their personality or like them, you're a fucking racist. So yeah, it's clear being trans shaped everything about who you are, because everything you are is being trans. And that means that any character that you write is going to be terribly written, because you care more about their identity than you do about their actual character. While representation is important, nobody's saying that it's not. Yet people are like, oh my god, you guys are fucking... and trying to say that we don't want it. I'm outright saying diversity, representation is fine, as long as those characters that are being represented, or those people being represented, are well written. And you got the Riris out there who are like, oh, no, just stop trying to cover it. No, I am outright every single time. We do not care about it as long as they are well written. Okay? If the character is trans, come here. If the character is trans, that's okay. That's fine. As long as their entire character doesn't revolve around them being trans. I do not know what is so impossible for you people to understand about that. It's not the diversity we're having a problem with. It's the fact that people are taking diversity and taking characters, forcing representation, but then making stereotypical characters or making characters that are nothing but their identity. You know, skin color, sexual identity, whatever. But then when we call that out, they call us racist and bigots because we can't relate to a person who identifies solely based on how they identify, or a character whose personality is just how they identify. I've said before, you can't expect me to care for a character just because they're black, or just because they're trans, or because they're. You need to get. If we're going to spend 100+ hours with this character, we need a reason to care about them. Nope. Nope. Unfortunately, for those rereads out there, they don't understand that. And no matter what we say, to them, all they hear is, they just don't want representation. They just don't want. And clearly, you're not listening. Either you're not listening or you don't want to listen. Either way, you are the ones looking like idiots in the end, because every single one of us has been saying nothing. We've been saying we don't care about the diversity. We just want better written characters. If they're black, they're trans, great. Great. Just make them well written. But nope. The beginning of the end. The departure genuinely feels like a significant turning point. After dedicating 15 years of her life to BioWare, and her decision to leave speaks volumes about the state of the studio as is. Combined with the Veilguard's abysmal performance and rumors of layoffs, it's hard to ignore all the signs that BioWare may be crumbling right in front of our eyes under its own weight. Not the only one either. Not the only one. It's a shame that such a great studio as BioWare, which created my childhood, is now on the verge of. It's probably not on the verge of closure, but close enough. Veilguard is total garbage, but I love Origins, Mass Effects 1, 2, 3, and these games shaped my childhood. Yeah, no one had anything to say about the other Dragon Age games. Those had representation in it, but they were well written. Almost as like that's what we've been saying. So maybe what we've been saying is true. Representation is fine, as long as the characters are well written. But what do we know? We're just phobes, this and isms. Anyway, it's a shame to see her leave, and I hope she finds employment fairly soon, because I mean, I'm sure she's got money saved for a bit, but you want to get back in the game as soon as possible. So I hope that someone picks her up and hey, we've got a spot for you. But yeah, this is the state of modern games. Terrible writing, and then the people who actually do want to write a good story or good characters, it's like, well, you can write that character, but you may not have a job tomorrow. It's like, well, I think that people was no. You're a writer, I'm the head writer. When I say goes, I want you to change the character. Again, you can keep the character, we can keep it if you want, but you may not have a job tomorrow. So, modern games, who cares about the games? Politics galore, identity, whatever, as much as possible. So, anyway, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.